Vivian Okafor leaned back in her chair and let out a loud laugh that echoed across the private lounge of the luxurious restaurant. "I've been waiting for this day," she said with a smirk. Sandra Adeboye frowned. "What day?" "The day Adaora finally stopped acting like everyone's personal ATM." The women around the table burst into laughter. Helen Nowosho shook her head. "Honestly, I knew it wouldn't last forever. Nobody keeps giving without getting tired." Vivian lifted her glass. "Let's be honest. If Adaora became poor tomorrow, none of us would still be here." The ladies laughed even harder. Hidden behind the carved wooden divider just a few feet away, Adaora Ezeani froze. Her smile on her face disappeared. Her heart pounded so hard she could hear it. These were the women she called sisters, women she had loved, women she had trusted, women she had sacrificed so much for. A tear slowly rolled down her cheek. How did Adaora Ezeani, one of Nigeria's most admired billionaire businesswomen, end up secretly listening to the women she loved destroy her behind her back? To understand that, we have to go back a few years. Before the fame, before the billions, before the betrayal. But first, if you've ever experienced betrayal from someone you trusted, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and join our family for more unforgettable African folktales. Adaora Ezeani wasn't born into unimaginable wealth. She grew up in Enugu, in a modest but loving home where honesty mattered more than money. Her father, Professor Chike Ezeani, taught economics at the university, while her mother, Grace Ezeani, managed a small textile business in the local market. From a young age, Adaora was different. While other children played outside after school, she preferred sitting beside her mother, watching customers negotiate prices and learning how businesses worked. One afternoon, a customer accidentally paid more than she should have. Young Adaora smiled excitedly. "Mommy, she gave you extra money." Her mother immediately ran after the woman and returned every naira. When she asked why, her mother smiled and said, "My daughter, money can always return. A good name is much harder to earn." Those words stayed with Adaora forever. As she grew older, her passion for business became impossible to ignore. At just 13 years old, she started making handmade bracelets and selling them to classmates. Instead of spending her profits, she saved every naira. Her father often found her writing business ideas in old notebooks. One evening, he smiled and asked, "What are you planning now?" Adaora looked up with bright eyes. "One day, I'll build companies that employ thousands of Nigerians." Her father laughed softly. "I believe you will." After finishing secondary school with excellent grades, Adaora earned a scholarship to study international business and finance in the United Kingdom. Everyone celebrated. Neighbors congratulated her parents. Many believed she would never return to Nigeria. Why would anyone leave a country full of opportunities to come back home? But Adaora's dream had never been to build another nation's economy. Her dream was to help build her own. After graduating with distinction, she received several high-paying job offers from international companies. Her classmates thought she was crazy when she turned them all down. One of them asked, "Adaora, are you really going back to Nigeria?" She smiled confidently. "My country gave me my roots. Now it's my turn to give something back." Returning home wasn't easy. She started a small logistics company from a rented office in Lagos. The first few years tested her patience. Business deals collapsed. Investors backed out. Some nights, she slept inside her office because there wasn't enough money for both accommodation and expansion. Many people advised her to quit. Others laughed at her determination, but Adaora refused to give up. She believed every setback was preparing her for something greater, and she was right. Within a few years, her logistics company expanded beyond Lagos. Then came agriculture, then real estate, then technology, then manufacturing. Before long, the Ezeani Group became one of the fastest-growing business empires in Nigeria. Thousands of people found employment through her companies. Communities celebrated whenever she opened a new factory because it meant more jobs for local families. Newspapers called her the Queen of Enterprise. International magazines listed her among Africa's most influential women. Yet, despite all her success, Adaora remained humble. She remembered employees' birthdays. She quietly paid hospital bills for struggling workers. She funded scholarships without asking for recognition. To many Nigerians, she wasn't just rich, she was kind. But little did Adaora know, her kindness was attracting not only genuine admiration, but also people who saw her wealth as an opportunity. And among those people were 4 women who would soon become the closest friends she ever had. Success changed Adaora's address, but it never changed her heart. She now lived in one of the most beautiful mansions in Banana Island, Lagos. Her garage housed luxury cars most people only dreamed of driving. She owned private investments across Africa and Europe. Yet, she still greeted her security guards every morning by name. If one of her employees fell sick, she quietly paid the hospital bills. If a staff member lost a loved one, flowers and financial support arrived before anyone asked. People admired her because she never forgot where she came from. But as her influence grew, so did the number of people who wanted to be close to her. It started innocently. At a business summit, she met Vivian Okafor, a stylish fashion entrepreneur with a charming personality. "Adaora, I've admired you for years," Vivian said warmly. The two exchanged numbers. A few weeks later, Vivian introduced Adaora to Sandra Adebayo, an interior designer known for decorating luxury homes. Sandra later introduced Helen Nosu, who owned a successful event planning company. Not long after, Helen brought Miriam Chukwu into the circle, a skincare entrepreneur with a vibrant personality. Before long, the 5 women became inseparable. The media nicknamed them the Golden Circle. Their photos flooded social media. They vacationed in Dubai, attended fashion shows in Paris, spent weekends on yachts in Lagos. To the public, they looked like the perfect group of successful women lifting each other up. Adaora finally felt she had found the sisters she never had. Whenever they met, she was always the first to arrive and the last to leave. And somehow, she always ended up paying the bill. At first, she didn't mind. One afternoon during lunch, Vivian admired Adaora's diamond bracelet. "It's gorgeous." Without thinking twice, Adaora unclasped it and placed it on Vivian's wrist. "It looks better on you." Vivian gasped dramatically before hugging her. "You are the most generous woman I've ever met." Another day, Sandra jokingly admired a luxury handbag inside a boutique. Minutes later, Adaora bought it for her. When Helen's son was rushed to the hospital after an accident, Adaora quietly paid every hospital bill. When Miriam's boutique nearly closed because she couldn't pay her rent, Adaora transferred millions of naira into her account without asking for repayment. Each time, the women hugged her tightly. "You are family. We'll always stand by you. We're sisters forever." Adaora believed every word. What she never noticed was that every conversation somehow ended with someone needing something. One evening, as Adaora prepared to leave the office, her personal assistant Ngozi spoke carefully. "Ma, may I ask you something?" Adaora smiled. "Go ahead." "When was the last time one of your friends called just to ask how you were doing?" Adaora paused. "They check on me all the time." Ngozi nodded respectfully. "Do they?"
Or do they call because they need something? Adaora laughed softly. You worry too much. I hope I do. Ngozi smiled politely. But I've noticed something. They always leave your office smiling. You rarely do. Adaora dismissed the concern. They are my friends. Ngozi lowered her eyes. I pray they truly are. Weeks later, the Golden Circle began planning another luxury vacation. Vivian spread brochures across the table. Ladies, what do you think about the Maldives this year? Sandra clapped excitedly. Oh, yes. Helen smiled. It's been on my bucket list. Then everyone looked at Adaora. Vivian grinned. So, our sponsor? The women laughed. Adaora smiled politely. What if this time everyone paid for themselves? The laughter disappeared. Vivian blinked. What? I think it will be more fun if everyone contributes for themselves. Sandra forced a smile. I wasn't expecting that. Helen quietly folded the brochure. Maybe we should postpone the trip. The atmosphere changed instantly. For the first time, Adaora noticed something strange. The excitement was gone. The warmth had disappeared. No one argued that the trip was about spending time together. They only seemed disappointed that Adaora wasn't paying. That night, she sat alone on the balcony of her mansion in Lagos, looking over the glittering Lagos skyline. Ngozi's words echoed in her mind. Do they call because they love you or because they need something? For the first time, Adaora wasn't sure of the answer. Over the next few weeks, Adaora quietly changed one thing. Whenever someone asked for money, she politely declined. Not because she couldn't help, but because she wanted to see something. She wanted to know whether the friendships would remain the same. The results were immediate. Vivian stopped calling every morning. Sandra suddenly became too busy to meet. Helen cancelled dinner twice. Miriam stopped replying messages altogether. One Saturday morning, Adaora opened social media and froze. The four women were together at an expensive restaurant, laughing, taking selfies, enjoying brunch without her. She stared at the photos for several seconds. Perhaps it was a last-minute plan, she told herself. Maybe they simply forgot to invite her. Wanting to surprise them, Adaora drove to the restaurant. As she entered, one of the waiters politely directed her toward the private lounge where her friends were seated. She smiled. They're going to be so surprised. Just before she stepped inside, she heard Vivian's voice. I'm telling you, Adaora has changed. Sandra laughed. No, the problem is she has finally become stingy. The women burst into laughter. Helen rolled her eyes. I knew this friendship wouldn't last once she stopped spending. Then Miriam leaned forward. Let's tell ourselves the truth. The room became quiet. We never loved Adaora. We loved what Adaora could do for us. Loud laughter filled the room. Vivian raised her glass. If Adaora became poor tomorrow, I'd block her number immediately. Sandra laughed so hard, tears rolled down her cheeks. What exactly is she without money? Helen smiled coldly. Just another ordinary woman. Hidden behind the wall, Adaora felt her heart shatter. The women she had defended, prayed with, traveled with, loved like sisters, had never loved her at all. A tear rolled slowly down her cheek. Without making a sound, she turned around. She walked out of the restaurant, she reached her car, closed the door, and for the first time in years, Adaora Ezeani cried. Not because she had lost money, Not because a business had failed, but because she had discovered that the people closest to her had only loved her wealth. After several minutes, she wiped away her tears and looked at her reflection in the rearview mirror. Then she whispered the words that would change her life forever. If the women I called sisters could pretend to love me for years, how will I ever know if the man I marry truly loves me? At that moment, a dangerous idea entered her mind. An idea that would test not only the people around her, but the man destined to become the love of her life. Have you ever discovered that someone only stayed in your life because of what you could offer them? If you were Adaora, would you have confronted those fake friends or quietly walked away? Tell us in the comments, and don't miss episode 2, where Adaora meets a man who seems different from everyone else. But after everything she's been through, can she really trust him, or is he just another person chasing her fortune? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for the next chapter of this unforgettable African folktale.